everybody. It's a great day to make English muffins. I have this recipe. It's a new recipe for English muffins, so we'll see how it works out. So the first thing I did was, it said in a mixing bowl to put 4.5 cups of bread flour, a packet of active dry yeast, 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, salt, 2 tablespoons of sugar. Then we're going to drop an egg in that. And it said, don't mix it, just pour all those ingredients in, and then we'll mix it after we add our warm milk mixture. Over here in the saucepan, I have this on low, and it's 1 3/4 cup milk and 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. We're going to stir that up until it reaches a temperature of 110 to 115. So I have my little thermometer here, because when you're dealing with yeast, you really have to make sure you've got the right temperature. It can't be too high or too low, or the yeast won't activate. So once this milk and butter mixture get to the right temperature, we're going to pour it into the bowl where those other ingredients are just waiting patiently. And we'll stir that until it's dough. Then we have to knead it. And you'll have to decide whether you want to knead it by hand for 10 minutes or use the stand mixer dough blade. It's not really a blade, it's a dough mixer. So if you do the stand mixer, you only have to let that run for 5 minutes, and then it'll be ready to form into a ball, and then we have to let it rise for at least an hour. But we'll take care of all that when the time comes. All right, so I have my butter starting to melt here. I'm going to just turn this up to medium. And I am just curious where the temperature is right now. So I'm going to turn this on. We're going to check and see where we're at. Okay, so we're already at 106. So we're almost there. I'm sure it won't be at 110 until the butter's melted. So I'm going to wait for the butter to be melted, and then I'll check it. Oh, actually, while that's happening, I didn't break the egg open yet into my mixing bowl. So I'm going to do that. And again, it says do not mix this stuff until we add the hot milk and butter. Okay. Right now it says 118, so I'm going to let it cool off a little bit before I dump it in there. Because again, we want to make sure our yeast is going to activate properly. All right, I'm just going to bring it over here. I've done English muffins before, but I used a different recipe, so I'm kind of excited to see how this one comes out. It's not much different, but it's a little different. I'm using more flour in this. Wow, that got hot pretty quick. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pour that in. So we're just dumping this right in. There we go. I'm going to stir this together. Yeah. Ooh. It actually sounds like it's talking. So I believe that would be the yeast working. I'm going to just mix this together, and I've decided that I am going to use my dough hook and let my KitchenAid do the work for me today. So I'll assemble that. Once I turn it on, I'm going to turn the video off for 5 minutes, so you don't have to sit there listening to the KitchenAid working. Okay. Wow. This would be hard to knead by hand, but then again, it'd be a good workout. All right, here's my dough hook. I'm gonna get that set up here. I'm going to make sure I get all of this off of the spoon. All right. And I'll lock it. And there we go. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, we're ready to stop the mixer. This dough looks so beautiful. It just came right off of the side of the bowl when it's nice and warm. So we're just going to, I lightly grease this bowl. We're just going to put this in this bowl and just roll it around to make sure that all of the area gets a little bit of the oil on it. Then we're going to just cover it with plastic wrap. And this is when we patiently wait at least an hour for this dough to double. So I'll be back once the dough is ready for the fun part. Okay, the dough is ready. It's definitely doubled in size. So I'm just gonna punch it down, and then we're going to take it out. Well, I guess we don't have to take it out of the bowl, but it says that. So this is the dough that we're supposed to divide it into 16 equal parts. So it's easy for me to just do things in half. So that's in half. So I need to do 8 out of here. And so I'm going to start with 4. And so you roll each one into a round. So let me do that. I've got my griddle on 275. Yes. And I lightly sprayed it with cooking spray. Okay, so I'm going to start with these 4. And then it says to do them into like 3-inch rounds. So let's see if I can. There we go. There's one. And so you'll do this process until you're done with all the dough. Once I have these 4 done, I'm going to go ahead and put them in the electric griddle. You're supposed to just sprinkle a little bit of either cornmeal or semolina on the griddle. So we'll do that before we drop these in. 1 more to go, and then we'll put all 4 of them in there and see how it goes. I feel like they're not as big as regular English muffins, but we'll see how these come out. So I'm going to sprinkle some of the semolina on here, and we'll just put these. When I was reading about the recipe, it said that the inside, if you use a digital thermometer, the inside should be 200 degrees. And it also said that if the two outsides are getting too dark and you want to take them off, but the middle's not done, you can pop them in your oven for 10 minutes at a low temperature. What was it? Well, 350. So there's different things to do if you happen to not get them cooked like you want them to be. All right, these are actually turning brown already, so that's great. We'll just wait and just keep checking them. Once they're brown on one side, you flip them over to the next side. And I think I might actually check one with the thermometer just to see, since it's not something that I do frequently. Okay, well, those are cooking. I'm just continuing to make these other ones. Okay, so far so good. I don't know how you like to eat English muffins, but I love mine with butter. And sometimes I'll put homemade raspberry jam from the raspberries in my garden. But my friend who owns the Sap House makes delicious maple cream. Some people call it maple butter. It's the same thing, but that's delicious smeared on a toasted English muffin. They always need to be toasted at least. I can't wait to try these. I love bread. All right, let's see if I can. All right, I'm going to flip these. It's kind of weird. Like, I have 4 of them in here, and why is that not? 3 of them are lightly browned already on one side. The other one's not. So I don't know why, but it could just be that my pan is kind of old and maybe I need a new electric frying pan. But I would like to at least show you what the final product looks like before I sign off and tell you to be shiny. I'm going to say that each side you'll cook for about 4 minutes, or at least check them at 4 minutes. I should have put the timer on, then we would have known for sure. Oh well, next time I make them, I'll try that out, but it doesn't really matter if it takes 4 minutes or 5 minutes. I'm gonna let them cook until they're done. Okay. And I do think they're about the right size. They're not humongo, but they look like a good size. And it's kind of fun doing this by hand. It's almost like being a potter, right? I always wanted a, what do they call them? Spinning wheel? No, not a spinning wheel, a potter's wheel. I always wanted to throw clay. I just always thought it looked so relaxing and, I don't know, fun. This is kind of reminding me of doing clay by hand. All right, I think these are going to be so fun. I'm getting there. Almost ready to show it to you. You know what? I'm going to look at my temperature just to see how close we are. All right, so we're at about 150. That's good. That means it's almost done. The other thing that the recipe I used said was between cooks. So once I take these 4 off, I should sprinkle more of I'm using the semolina flour. So it said to first wipe out. So you're gonna have to be careful because it's gonna be a hot surface. But first wipe out what was there, sprinkle new, and start all over. We use the semolina flour when we make homemade pizzas. We have a pizza oven outside that my husband built. So in the summer, which seems less far away since today is sunny and 32, I'll have to do a video of that because it's really cool. It's a wood-fired pizza oven. And the pizza is delicious. All right. Wow, they really are coming out good. This is very exciting. I'm sure this is going to be hot. Ooh. So I'm just going to show you. It's not too bad. So here's one of them. Here's one side. Here's the other. They feel just like English muffins. So, all right, I can't wait to try one. Be shiny.